The Squid Game 3 teaser looks simple until you slow it down, from Gi-hun being chained up to revealing the games. There's way more going on than Netflix wants you to notice. Today, I'll be going over every hidden detail found in this teaser. The teaser opened up with the circle guards bringing a coffin into the dormitory, which the players opened to find an unconscious Gi-hun lying inside. Some theorize that the player inside of the box would be Jung-bae before the teaser as a sign that the rebellion failed or as some kind of warning, although the teaser proves this theory false. We're then shown a shot of what could be the fourth game. The players are all standing in a black room with what looks like a yellow knife on one wall and a lock of the same color on the opposite wall. There's a gumball machine in the middle of the room filled with blue and red balls, and we get to see what some characters pick. Gi-hun, Geum-ja, and Nam-gyu pick red balls, while Hyun-ju and Young-shik both pick blue balls, meaning the mother and son are playing on different teams for the next game. Regarding the next game, there are many details in this teaser that can help us try to figure out what it is. We see boxes being handed out to the players, blue ones for those on the blue team and red ones for those on red. The players are all given vests corresponding to the color they choose, and are put in what looks like some kind of maze. From what we can see of it, it has stone walls, and the game that takes place inside of it is timed as we see a clock that was just under 5 minutes. The theory is that the items inside of the blue boxes were keys, as we can see Sun Yo holding what looks like a key in one of the Season 3 photos shared by Netflix, as well as another player in the background of the same image. They were both on the blue team, so this seems to hold up. This image coupled with the knife and keyhole on the walls can allow us to assume that the teams the players were put on are offense and defense, with blue being the defense and red being the offense. It's possible the game could involve the blue team having to unlock some kind of specific door with their keys, while the red team hunts them down. But I don't think it's likely that the guards would let the players have access to weapons right after the rebellion. It's possible that the players would just be made to use their fists to fight each other, as we see a shot of Hyun-ju raising her fists as if to fight someone. The theory of the blue team being prey becomes stronger when we look at one of the shots in the teaser. Gi-hun is walking through the maze, and interestingly, the timer is at 4 minutes and 56 seconds, and there's a dead player's body behind him. The dead player is wearing a blue vest, so it's possible the player was murdered by a player on the red team, or they could have been shot by the guards or something. One more thing, the person Hyun-ju is supposedly fighting against is wearing a red vest, which strengthens the theory of the red team having to fight or injure the blue team in some way. But what if the objective of the red team was to steal the keys of the blue team, and Hyun-ju was preparing to fight to try and keep her key safe? It's kind of like Squid Game from Season 1. There are two teams, a defense and offense, and the offense has to try and get through the defense to achieve a goal. However, it wouldn't really be necessary to kill the players whose keys you're trying to get, although there are psychopaths in the games like Nam-gyu who would probably go that far. The game could also be in more of a marbles format, where players face off against each other in pairs instead of the two teams being pitted against each other. This would kill half of the players like marbles was supposed to, and it would mean that the whole team doesn't have to die. Funny enough, if this mystery game is really the fourth and the above theory is correct, then both of the fourth games in both seasons would be ones that eliminate half the players. In between the shots of the new game, we can also see a group of men and women being served at a table by the masked waiters. These are most definitely the VIPs, as they're all wearing some kind of animal mask. Interestingly, some of the VIPs are women, which is a difference from Season 1 where they're all men. The VIPs from Season 1 are likely not making a return for Season 3, or at least some of them aren't. We can see that the VIP with the panther mask is a woman, while the original panther mask was an old man, and the original buffalo mask VIP looks much too young to be the same one shown in the teaser. Though, I guess we should be thankful we don't have to see any more of the panther mask guy after his gross actions in Season 1. Unfortunately, it appears that Gi-hun has been banned from voting because we can see him chained to a bed while the other players are shown placing their votes. This is a theory that the players were the ones who decided to chain him up, but it doesn't make much sense. The ex-players definitely wouldn't allow one of their votes to be out of commission, and none of the players even have access to cuffs, and it's unlikely that the guards would provide them. So the guards were likely the ones who chained up Gi-hun right before the voting began to prevent him from voting, probably as punishment due to his role as the leader of the rebellion. We can also see In-ho watching the games as the frontman. Although he looks a bit distraught, it's possible that the cause of his distress could have been witnessing the death of somebody, possibly Jun-hee, as he seemed to have taken a liking to her in Season 2. But he's not the only person looking anxious, as we see a shot of Min-soo looking quite terrified. It's not like that isn't normal for him, but he could have some sort of confrontation with Nam-gyu, although that isn't very likely as they're both on the same team. However, in one of the images released by Netflix, we can see that he's changed his vote back to O. This raises a lot of questions, one of those of course being, why? Maybe Nam-gyu threatened him, using Sammy's death to taunt him and bully him into voting O again. Or maybe Min-soo decided he really had a shot at winning the money or something. And speaking of Nam-gyu, we got to see an image of him splattered with blood and sitting on a bunk, seemingly looking at something or someone. This was probably taken before the vote after the rebellion. Earlier, we got to see an image of Gi-hun chained to a bunk, which we now know has to be before the vote as he's chained during the voting. It had the same lighting as the photo of Namgyu, so it's possible the two images took place at the same time frame. After the shot of the fourth game, we can see guard 011, Noel, climbing through the vents. The next frame is of a player's neck getting scanned by the machine the guards used. Many have theorized that the father who participated in the rebellion, player 246, was actually shot in a non-fatal area by guard 011 and is still alive. The player getting scanned could be 246, and Noel could be checking to make sure he was still alive. As we all see her crawling through the vents like Se-byuk did in Season 1, it's very likely Noel was doing something against the rules if she felt the need to be sneaking around in the vents. It's not clear what rules she's violating, but it's probably related to player 246 or maybe the masked officer. There's a theory that Noel will help 246 dress up as a guard and escape somehow, and some even say she'll go as far as to help all of the players in a second rebellion. The latter is much more unlikely than the former, but Noel getting 246 out of the games is very plausible, especially with the information we just got in the teaser. Good news! After a full season lost at sea, Jun-ho appears to have finally found the island. As we see him equipped with an oxygen tank staring up at what's probably the island, we can also see the back of the guard's head looking up at the foliage, and another guard walking by a vent of some kind with their gun out, looking like they're patrolling the area. Maybe Jun-ho managed to somehow sneak into the facility again, and the guards are on the lookout for him and his crew. We get another shot of Jun-ho, this time with a gun of his own, running into a marble room looking ready to shoot. This is definitely a room inside of the facility, probably the frontman's quarters or the area where the VIPs reside. The strange thing is, we don't see any of the mercenaries that were assisting him. There's a chance they could have died, or Captain Park set some kind of trap for them that left them searching on a remote island while Jun-ho sailed on ahead. Well, wherever they are, they're probably not on the facility's island. We get a couple more quick shots, Myung-gi looking devastated, Sunyo making something that looks like an arrow on the maze wall with what looks like someone's blood, Gum-ja crying over something, Gi-hun looking surprised, and Jun-hee crying over something, which seems to be a common thing in this teaser. Sunyo marking the blood on the walls basically confirms that the players are in some kind of maze, or else she wouldn't have to mark her location to remember where she's already been or find her way around. Now, in the shot of Gum-ja crying, we can see that her hair is down, meaning she's taken out her hairpin with the blade concealed in it. There are plenty of assumptions regarding what she'll do with the hairpin, but the most common one seems to be that she'll use it to cut Jun-hee's umbilical cord after she gives birth. There's another theory saying that she gives the hairpin to Young-shik to protect himself during the next game, as he's on the blue defense team and isn't exactly the strongest guy. Gum-ja could be crying because Jun-hee died giving birth or something, but it's probably more likely that her son died in the game. It's a plausible theory, as they are both on opposing teams, but there are some problems with this, the biggest one being that Hyunju was on the blue team. It's really unlikely that the directors would decide to kill her off now, as she's one of the main characters. Even though she's on the opposite team of Gi-hun, who's surviving no matter what, there's still ways for both of them to survive. We know the game is timed, so maybe the win condition for the blue team was using their keys to unlock the doors or whatever, while the red team got to survive no matter what. But this would be an easy way to justify Hyunju surviving and Young-shik dying, although of course there's a chance that only one team could survive and Hyunju does end up dying anyway, though it's not likely. Or like I said above, it could just be one-on-one fights, or just a situation where the whole other team doesn't have to die in order for one team to win. If it really is one-on-one fights, Hyunju could easily win, and Young-shik could easily lose. Although it's unlikely an old woman like Gum-ja would be able to beat any of the players in a one-on-one except maybe Jun-hee, she could have used her hidden blade to give herself an advantage and kill whoever her opponent would be. Now, back to Myung-gi. We see him absolutely looking crushed and with bloodstains on his face. This isn't the only shot of him looking this way, as there's another one in the photos that Netflix released. He could have been forced to kill someone, or he could have witnessed someone dying. The possibilities are endless. But what if the one he witnessed dying was Jun-hee? Jun-hee is most likely going to be giving birth in Season 3, as we can hear the sound of a baby crying at the end of the teaser. So there's a chance she could have died in the process and Myung-gi witnessed it. Like I mentioned above, it could be one of the reasons Gum-ja was crying and would absolutely destroy Myung-gi, which explains why he was looking so devastated in the shot. Going back to the theory that he was forced to kill someone, if the fourth game really was one-on-one fights, then he could be looking so upset due to knowing he ended someone's life. It would also explain the blood on his face, although the blood could just be an aftermath of the special game. The thing is, he already killed Thanos and wasn't shown to be as broken up about it as he looked in the teaser. But you could also make the argument that he didn't feel remorse as he killed Thanos in self-defense. Now, Jun-hee definitely has multiple reasons to be crying, but it's almost certainly related to her pregnancy. But before we talk about that, if you look closely, Jun-hee isn't wearing a vest in the shot. That means it takes place either before or after the game is played. But if the game was really one-on-one fights, Junhee wouldn't stand a chance. She's pregnant, and if she was up against a relatively fit male, there'd be no chance of her winning. Here's another theory. Instead of Geum-ja keeping her pin to herself or giving it to her son, she gave it to Junhee to protect herself with. That could be why Geum-ja looks so devastated. She's feeling horrible for not giving her son something to defend himself with, thinking that she's the one who caused his death. Or she could have somehow survived some other way and is crying due to her pregnancy. If it really was a team game or a situation where the red team had to ambush the blue team, she could have been somehow badly injured during the game and had a miscarriage. Or she could have started going into labor. Whatever the reason is, it's sure to be one that'll make us all distraught. The wait for Season 3 is sure to be difficult, but the debates and theories about all of the things we see in these teasers and trailers definitely make it worth the wait. If you enjoyed this video, click the video on the screen to see how every player will die.